Hi, I'm Bobby Halton with Fire Engineering, and we're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're heading out the door right now to go down to the scene of a school fire. It was a science and arts building that had a massive fire at 4 o'clock this morning. And during this fire, there was 3 explosions. Each one of those explosions resulted in some dynamic fire behavior that's being analyzed right now. It almost looks like 3 successive flashovers in a row, but almost like a backdraft and then sustained burning. Pretty dynamic footage. We're going to hopefully be able to bring it to you in this newscast here this morning. If not, it's a CBS piece of footage, and we'll be talking with our good friends over there and trying to get rights to use that piece of footage that they caught this morning. There were firefighters inside at the time of this explosions, and they are okay. We know at this point 6 of them have been treated and released. 2 more are still at the hospital with second-degree burns, and they're in our thoughts and prayers. We have a great interview. We'll get you with their chief PIO, and we got some fantastic footage. This is an important fire. This is a school. There's thousands of these all across America. They've been remodeled. This particular fire had a rain roof. Pretty interesting fire dynamics resulted from that. We need to be thinking not only of the modern lightweight construction, but of the old problems. We now have the greatest mix of architecture and fire dynamics that we've ever seen in the history of the fire service. We have to be better than ever at making great decisions. We have to be better than ever at trying to read the fire, and we have to be better than ever in controlling our impulses to act first without thinking. Let's go take a look at what's happening out there right now on 17th and Lewis in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Good morning. It's September 5th. We're out here in Tulsa, Oklahoma with Stan May. He's the captain PIO officer for Tulsa Fire. About 4 o'clock this morning, Tulsa responded to a report of a fire in the school behind us. Heavy fire involvement was throughout the north end of the structure here. Firefighters encountered a good deal of it, went into do an aggressive attack. And Captain, can you fill us in what happened after that?
We were inside doing an interior attack, and over in the area of the old chemistry lab, we had a series of 3 explosions, and it injured 8 of our firefighters. We sent them to the hospital with minor burns. The worst, we have a couple of them still in there with second-degree burns. At that point, we had to pull everybody else out and reassess the integrity of the building.
Now, was there a remodel going on here or something, some kind of work going on in the building? I heard some early reports of that, or is that just the media?
No, they were doing some remodeling, and they had done some late last night in this end of the building.
And this is a 1920s, 1930s, real masonry building. I mean, as you look at it, you can see real firewalls, but probably over the years they kind of opened this thing up.
They've done a lot of remodeling over the years. They added a metal roof on top of the old tar roof. Several layers of tar in there. You could look in there, some places it was 6 inches thick.
So the metal roof was kind of like a rain roof, and like most common practice, they didn't remove the old roof, which is just a tremendous fuel load inside that void. Yeah. How many firefighters did you have out here?
We had 20 apparatus out here, and we had close to 100 firefighters out here early this morning.
We came by earlier. We didn't want to interrupt you then, but you know, this thing was going hard for at least a good 4 hours. I mean, this is it's got a tremendous fuel load inside that building.
Yeah.
But so the initial injuries were all guys on the interior attack, correct?
Yeah.
And 6 have come home. 2 are going to be kept overnight for some treatment of more serious burns.
Yes.
Outstanding, outstanding. Anything else you can tell us about the fire? Were there any other unusual things about the fire?
Once it got going, those explosions were really significant. It knocked buildings. When they happened, most of the fire was down here, and it knocked windows and frames out almost all the way to the end of the building.
So the amount of pressure from those gases igniting was blowing out windows a good 200 feet, 100 feet away.
Yeah. And we had 3 of those.
So
very short.
And they happened while the men and women were still inside.
Yes.
Wow.
And, you know, and you got to be careful on these old buildings. You know, we don't know how they've been remodeled over 50 or 60, 70 years.
And you know, we talk so much about the new lightweight construction and all of that, but then we forget that the legacy construction has dangers that are absolutely as threatening to firefighters, especially with the new fuel loads and the amount of remodel and what we've done to them over 60, 80 years.
Yeah.
So it's a great lesson. to learn, and thankfully no one was more seriously injured. Our hearts and prayers are with the guys and gals that got burnt, but hopefully we can take away from this. I know Tulsa does a great after-action job. We'd love to talk to you down the road about some of the lessons learned and what Tulsa would like to share with the rest of the community as you go through your investigation on this fire. So we'd like to thank you for letting us have access to this morning. We appreciate that. We know you got other bigger networks to deal with, but we'll get this out to the training folks and tell them what we saw here and what you've told us, and we're glad that Tulsa is as open as Tulsa is.
There's a lot to be learned from buildings like that. We've increased the fuel loads, like you said, and we've done nothing to account for any venting to get rid of that heat, and that's what taught us today.
Right, and now I'm assuming this is not a sprinkler building?
No, I don't believe it is.
Yeah, a lot of our codes don't require that. And then if you think about it, as we remodel and increase these fuel loads, we're not upgrading those sprinkler systems. We're not going to deluge systems. We're still going with the sprinkler systems that were designed back in the day for fuel loads that were radically smaller.
Yes.
So, well, thank you, Captain. Appreciate it. We're glad your men and women weren't hurt worse, and great job by the Tulsa Fire Department.
Appreciate it.
Another outstanding job.
Thank you.
I'm Bobby Halton from Fire Engineering. Thanks for tuning in. Well, I hope you enjoyed that short piece of video. There's hundreds of lessons to learn from this fire. We did have a chance to speak with Chief Doug Woods, the Assistant Chief of Operations. The Tulsa Fire Department's agreed to work with us on their after-action report, and we will be presenting that at FDIC. If it's ready by 2013, we'll bring it to you then, but definitely by 2014, as well as a detailed report on this particular fire. As a bonus, we got to talk with our good friends from the ATF, and the friends from the ATF there who have told us that their National Response Council and Response Team is coming in. We'll be meeting with them on Friday to get some preliminary assessments from them, and then we'll be working with them in the subsequent weeks and months to try to bring you more information about this incredibly important Sentinel fire. This is a fire that every fire department in America needs to pay attention to. We said it in the opening about how these fires are in every community in America today. It couldn't be more true. There's not one of these buildings. In most communities, there's 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 dozen. So thank you very much for paying attention. We will be bringing you a follow-up on this very important fire. And thanks for tuning into Fire Engineering. And remember, please be careful out there.